Loving your family. That's the name of the show today. Due to the fact my Queen Beverly told me to do something positive, I was going to do a different show. Due to the fact it was going to be about some gossiping, which, we already know that's no good for you. We already know that's not good, so I don't need to say no more about that. That's in the category of hate. We don't need to talk on hate. I'm talking about love, loving your family. What I mean by that is, despite of how they might act, whatever, don't feed into the chaos. If they're stressing or they're fussing or they're not doing or acting right or complaining, uplift, say something uplifting, you understand, motivational. Motivate them, you know what I'm saying? Don't feed into that, because, you know what I'm saying, you don't want to draw away from your family. Family love is very important. You know what I mean? Despite of what differences you have with your family, nobody is perfect. We have to all try to get along with one another, because life is too short. And the older you get, the less family you have to live with. You see what I'm saying? So enjoy the time you have with them. Be the best you can be with them, regardless of how they feel about you. You know what I'm saying? You do the best you can to show your love and appreciation for them. And you will feel great doing that, and you will be blessed for doing that. Being your best self. And you'll feel good about it, you understand? You won't feel stressed, or you won't feel less, because you understand me, if you're a happy, motivational, inspirational person, then that light is going to shine on these other people, family, friends, just people in general. Wherever you go, wherever you see, your light is going to shine on those that are around you, you see. So therefore, you understand me, you don't have to, be nothing but nothing less than your best, you see. You know what I'm saying? And that means if you encounter, you don't see your relatives as often as you may want, that's okay. When you do see them or when you do talk with them, be positive and be motivational and be inspirational and show them your love. Tell them you love them. You know what I'm saying? Do what you can. If they don't respond to you, that's okay. That is okay. They know you love them. They know you care for them. They know you're checking on them. If you call them and they don't call you back, that's okay. You did what you did because you know that what you did was right. If you did the right thing, then there's nothing else you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel no regret. You don't have to, you know what I mean? That enhances your ability to be your best, because you're doing the best you can do in all aspects of your life. You see? You know what I'm saying? And besides just looking your best and dressing your best and being blessed, you have to also act your best toward people, mankind and family and friends. You have to do that, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of how the people act, like I said before, And it's various things, that you do, you know what I'm saying? You may not forget, say if somebody you don't get along with, and you had a problem with them, and they're like family, they're with them for many, many years, And they want to be stubborn, they just want to have their way. Well, you can't let them have their way when it comes to something like that. You have to let them know you have to stand up for respect. When it comes to respect, you stand for your respect. You know what I mean? You don't bow down and let people walk over you or let people mistreat you. You check them when they're in that situation. Then you have to check them. But all the time you show love and you didn't necessarily regret, and you're not mad at them. When you check them, they can get mad at you and regress and do all the things they do. But you don't do that. Don't let them steal your joy. In other words, don't let them steal a minute of your joy. If you can do this and still be joyful, if you can check a person, because you're expressing how you feel, because you're not going to let them get away with it, and still love them and express love to them, then they'll understand. Just like I had to check somebody the other day, and I let them know, you understand what I'm saying, I care. But then again, I had to check her because I felt it wasn't right what they did, and I don't want them doing it around me. So you have to let them know. And then later on, they apologized to me and said they wasn't going to do it no more. They were going to try to do better. So that's what you want to hear. That shows genuine love. That's how you're supposed to get a response to the people that's in your life and that they want to remain in your life. Because I only have a handful of friends, and I got relatives, but I only have maybe a handful of relatives that I'm close to. You know what I'm saying? It's not like it was 20 years ago or even 30. You know how we had big families, we went to picnics, we went to parties, we did a lot, we were more closer because family, the people that kept the tie, kept the closeness together are not with us. Because these new generation, these new people, they don't have the closeness and the fondness of the older people like we had when we came up. You know, they do their own thing. They don't value the significance of the older people. They need to have these family reunions, like that Medea family reunion. That's when they had that movie. They need to see that type of stuff, and that needs to be happening. You know, I know when I go down south, I see organized family. People look like it's more family going on. I don't know for sure. I'm just saying I don't see it in these families around, the ones I be around. And I mean a lot of families, not just mine. I'm talking about everybody I know, every family I see. They're not close. You know, like we used to be in the old days. You know, I'm not saying it's because I'm older and the younger people are not sticking together. I can't say. Because I'm not young, so I don't stick with the young. And they do what they do amongst each other. But I'm talking about as a whole, the respect that these younger people don't give these older people. That's a valid fact, that you don't get that. You know, as well as I dress and the way I look, I get a little exceptional respect than the average person, only because of the way I look. But the point of it is, a lot of times when people get older, and you know, if they don't have anyone in their life, they be lonely and they get bitter, only because of the way life has been treating them. Because life, if you don't grab life by the balls and conquer it and have a positive attitude, as you get older, you will get bitter. You got to be inspirational. You got to feel good. You got to be great, and you got to remain that great attitude. And like I say, you got to stay around loving people. If they don't love you back, you show love to them, and you just keep a distance so they don't steal your joy. You don't let them steal your joy, you understand me, and your happiness. By you not doing that is simply by indulging in pleasant conversation, in pleasant activities, things like that. You know what I'm saying? You don't even go around negative people that doing the negative things. I don't even want to talk about it no more. I stopped talking about it. I was telling somebody the other day that I don't even talk about people like I used to. That's why, really, gossiping is not nothing for me to talk about, because I don't do it. You know, I try very, very rarely to do it. If there's somebody that I'm not close to, that don't really matter, and they'll be talking, that's the only relationship we have. Like we might go back to the chicken place, and then we'll be talking about people that we haven't seen in a long time, and then we'll mention them and what was going on. That's only because that's all we have, is that characteristic in life. We don't have no real relationship. We just have the gossiping point of view. That's okay when you do it, because you keep it in its perspective. You see? You're keeping it in its proper perspective. You know what you're doing at the time you're doing it, and you know you do who you're doing it with. So it stops there. It's not something you carry all over everywhere you go. You know what I mean? You're doing that like, that's how you relate to that person. Then it's okay. But if you're with a person and they're no good, you know what I mean? They drink, they smoke, they cheat, they steal, they lie. You don't need to be around them. You ain't supposed to say nothing to them. You're supposed to be getting away from them as fast as you can. Family, relatives, or friends, you don't do that, because they would steal your joy. They would cross you up. You know what I'm saying? You should be above all that. You should be growing, getting better each and every day in each and every way. There's no way you should be around those people that did what they did when they were younger and they're still doing it today. You know, you get away from them. I know a couple of cats. I know a cat that's been in and out the joint for the last 40 or 50 years. And he was a heck of a cat, man, and a heck of a player back at that time. He's still living off that back at the time stuff. And he's in and out of jail now. And he has never matured or grown up. And he's like 70-something, in his 70s. You know, some people do that, so it's hi and goodbye. I ain't trying to get close to him. You know what I'm saying? He's not making no progress. He's in a cycle. He's in a Peter Pan syndrome. He ain't trying to grow up. He's living back in the 70s, 80s. You know what I mean? Even the 70s ain't like the 80s, but all that. You know, you got people that do that. They live in the past, stuck in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? And don't grow up. Well, you don't want to be caught up with them. You got to get away from them, because they'll steal your joy. And if you're around family, sometime when you're with your family, you talk about the past, because those are memories that you have. Especially talk about the good stuff, the good memories that you had. You know, you speak on them, things you did, places you went. If you have joy with your family, your sisters, your brothers, you talk about those things, because those are memories. Those are things that you did with your mother, your father, these people. You constantly remind yourself of who you are and what you are and how blessed you are to have lived the life you lived. Because we all lived a life with some good in it. None of us had a life that was totally, bad. There's always some good in your life, you know what I'm saying? And if you had a bad life that was rough, like when you were coming up with your parents, they misused and abused and treated you bad. Well, then when you grew up and got 18 years old and got on your own and grew up, you had the choice to do and be who you wanted to be. So you could have changed, or they could have influenced you to where you got a mate that was no good, abusive, and destructive. That happens. But you have to break away from that cycle, you know what I mean, and grow and do better and be better each and every way you can. That's why when you at that young age, you have to learn and find out who you are and who you want to be when you're young. Because when you get older, it's very hard to change when you get past 30 unless you're willing to change, because you realize, like when I changed when I was in my 30s, I changed because I was tired of the situation, and I knew that I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. So when I got rid of that, I already knew who I wanted to be. I wanted to be the best I could be, and I knew how to do that because I had a mother and a father, and they lived a good life, and they raised me right. So I didn't have no problem on living that way and treating women right. I didn't have no problem on that because I knew how it was, because I see my mother and father. You got some people that don't even see that image, so then they're really sick. They really need help. But you can't judge them. You just have to stay away from them, see, because they will influence you. People say, don't judge, just get away from them. Don't judge them, just get away from them. If you're not an authorized social worker or a psychologist or a doctor or somebody that helps, like NAAA, if you're a product of that situation, then you help people that have drug addicts or alcohol problems, but you send them to AA or NA. You send them to a group and you give them the recipe that you got from the NA and AA, and you pass it on to them. They have to take it from there. So they have to be willing to want to change, and they have to be willing to want to learn. If they don't, then you can't do nothing about it. If they're not willing to get help, if they're not willing to realize that they are not living right, that they have a problem, then they won't admit to having a problem, and they won't be solved. They won't find a solution. They won't get the recipe. They got to be willing to realize, first of all, that they have a problem, that they love themselves, and that they want to be better. And they got to do the work and make the sacrifice and make the change. Making the change is the biggest thing. It's cutting those old people loose. A lot of people, it's hard. That's the hardest thing they got to do. Is stay away from that. Like I said before, stay out the corners, stay out the bars, go to the coffee shop, go to the library. You just change your environment, change one thing to another. It sounds easy, but it's not easy when you do it. But you do it one day at a time, and it's easy if you do it one day. That's how I broke it down, one day. That's how I did. I drank a cup of chicken noodle soup instead of a bottle of whiskey, and I just took simple changes. Then I drank coffee instead of beer. There's certain things you do and change that habit, you understand me? And when you change that habit and go to those meetings and get around people that are giving you inspiration, you know what I mean, and saturating your mind and body with positive energy and positive reinforcement, because you can't do it alone. You have to have somebody to give you that strength. There's people that go their whole life and drink and do drugs and don't never have a problem with it. Never have a problem with it. That's them. Sometimes when you get caught up early and you get off the drugs and drinking, it's better for you because it saves your body. Those people that live to be 70, whatever, and do drugs and drink, they die because their body deteriorates and they don't live a healthy, longevity, happy life. They have, problems, health problems, because even though they might have not hit rock bottom, they might not have had no problems that caused the drugs, the drinking may not cause them to go to jail, or may not cause them to lose anything. It caused them not to really rise to the top and be truly happy, because they were using artificial treatments to be happy. They'd take a pill. They would drink. They would take, cocaine. They would take different things to feel good rather than learn how to be happy on your own. When you learn how to be naturally happy, because happiness is a state of mind, and you have to change your attitude toward how you feel about people, places, and things. You just have to change it, and that's why I constantly talk about it on a positive mental attitude, is because that's the key to winning. Winning is not necessarily financially being successful. Winning is being the best you can be, dressing your best, being your best, looking your best, acting your best, having the best attitude, feeling like Tony the Tiger, waking up, you understand me, great. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's not having to do with the material. That's what people don't understand. Because you see people that got all the material things all the time, and they're not happy, committing suicide, on drugs, drinking. They just don't hit rock bottom. They're able to sustain having the material thing, but they're not happy. Cheating and going with a lot of different women, messing with prostitutes. You know, having one night stands, having sex as a remedy. They use sex as a drug. Sometimes sex is a drug for some people. It be an addiction. They try to have sex so that little minute thrill they get when they climax, they make that be like a drug. And then when that's over with, they feel bad again, because you can't get rid of that negative feeling through any artificial effect. When you're making love, it's different than when you have sex, and that's something people don't understand either. Love and sex is two different things. So when you make love, you're loving them when the sex is over, but you're still in love. You still have that positive, beautiful energy, just laying next to the person that you love. See, it's a lot of things to where people, age has nothing to do with how you mature when it comes to relationships, you know, when it comes to, you know, maturing and experiencing, you know, what's right. It's being around the right people, first of all, and being fortunate enough to have had, when you launched out the household, when you were young, you had good parents and good people gave you had something to look up to when you came out the house. Your mother and father were good people, then you got a good, beautiful way to start. If you didn't have that to start with, and you was being molested and child abuse and all that, then you still can overcome it. But it's just an obstacle that's harder for you to deal with. But you can be as great, you can be even greater than some of the people that have good households. You know, it's just all about the state of mind, how you feel about it, and how you go toward accepting it and changing it. You could be in your 50s and had a miserable life, you had a mother and father that didn't appreciate you or do you right, and you can change and be the best you can be and be good to your family and your kids. You change your attitude, you see, and you do what's right for you and yours. You know, read motivational books, read motivational tapes, you know what I mean, by people that are talking that good PMA, positive mental attitude. That's what really got me through it. You know, when I was in '83, when I went to the joint, I fortified my mind, you understand me, and saturated it with positive mental attitude. Everything I read, everything I did, you understand what I'm saying? I stayed to myself. I didn't go out running the yard. Only time I went out to the yard was when I was running my 10 miles a day that I did. When I wasn't running the yard, I stayed in my room. I stayed in my cell. I didn't go out hanging around talking to other people. I didn't do that. I sacrificed. I made major sacrifices when I was in the joint, because I said, this is the time for me to get myself together. I went to church on Sunday. I did that, and I did certain things. I went to groups and meetings, people that were talking positive and enhancing and motivational things. I did that. I went to work, you know what I mean? I worked in the kitchen, and I worked, you know, I programmed and did what I was supposed to do so I can get out of there. I did what I was supposed to do that was right. But I knew I wasn't preparing myself to go out there and get a job like they were trying to give it. I was preparing myself, getting myself ready to play for my money and to be happy. I knew what it took. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I was going to get. And that's exactly what I did to this day. You understand what I'm saying? I haven't worked, but I'm happy, and I've achieved what I wanted in life. You know, and I found out what really was real. You know, but when I fell in '77, I had enough sense at that time to change my life and get it together. But I was caught up in the fast life, and the people I was involved with, you know, my better half, you know, was involved in the fast life. So she didn't want to change when I wanted to change. I seen the light way back then. So then I got back into drinks and drugging, and then it took me another 10 years, less than that, to get back on my feet, to get it right. But I knew all the time, you know what I'm saying, that I'm just thankful and grateful that I made it to this point where I'm at in life, and I've had a beautiful life, you know, and I'm learning all the time, you know. I don't get caught up in the other people's drama, you know what I mean, and the things that other people do. I try to stay positive, and in the last 2 or 3 years I've learned a lot. The pandemic changed my life to where I had time to listen, and you know, I got a good mate, I got a queen, you understand what I'm saying, that's intelligent and smart. She's a social worker, you know, ex-social worker, clinical social worker, so she's really sharp in sociology dealing, in psychology dealing with people, you know, in human nature. She knows. So between her and what I learned, you know, from other people, and learned from what I've learned studied in the past, I got, you know, I really got it down now, you know, and that's why I said that, you know, I take the high road. I take the high road now. You know what I mean? It took me a while. You know, I wasn't taking the high road. I had these ghetto street these pimp ways, you know what I mean, that I was not trying to see the high road. You know, now, between my sister and my queen, I see the high road, you know. You know, I got a sister, Patsy, I'm gonna give her a shout out. And between her and my queen, Beverly, I see the high road now, so what I do, you know, I'm willing to change, I'm willing to uplift, I'm look at things differently. You have to do that to be happy. You can't not be going through life. No man's an island without a family or without friends. You gotta get along with them. If they don't cooperate and they still want to be hating and be jealous, this is what you do. You just keep a distance. You don't never bring nothing up for them to make them upset or to, you know how they are, so you know what to do and how to act. You know what I mean? You just get along with them and enjoy the time you have with them, doing positive things, what you and them get along doing. The happiness you and them share together. You know, some people want to get into your business and they do beyond that, because I had a friend, I was trying to get along with him in that level. But he would always want to get into my business in other ways to push buttons, and I knew that I know we won't never be friends again, because if he doesn't make the first move to show that he cares, then he's not going to get me to show. I've been showing that I care all the time. I'm not the one that made this happen what it is. You know, if you don't do this, then you're showing me that you're going to keep being who you're going to be, and I'm not going to let you steal my joy, and I'm not going to worry. I'm going to still love you, but I'm going to love you from afar. You know, and that's how I feel about it, and I'm not going to let nothing hold me back and prevent it. Because you have to change. You can't stay the same. Some of these people, they think they know it all, and they live in misery, and they don't have nobody, and they're by themselves, and they don't be willing to compromise. You know what I mean? But it's not what it actually is. They don't even realize what it is. What it is the fear of being close to someone. They have the fear of opening up to someone, you know. They have a fear. It's really being scared to let people open up and be who you are. You know, so you set your sights higher than you can achieve, so you won't get caught in a relationship. Somebody on your level, somebody that cares for you, somebody that's on your compatibility, you don't really want them, because you really don't want the commitment, you really don't want the relationship. So you always put blocks of, I don't want to be involved with them. You know, they this or they that. You know, you make excuses. They don't have no money. You know, you always make excuses. You know, you're this. See, a lot of times people get in a relationship. It's not a relationship. They want money. I was looking on the radio this morning. This lady was talking about she was so compatible. She met a guy, and he's just what she wanted and all this. And then she looked on Google and found out he had a big house and he had money. You know what I mean? And she wanted him to like her. But she had nothing to come to the table with. You know? And then come to find out, when he rejected her, you know what I'm saying? On the crush on you, when he rejected her, then she tells out, well, she ain't got nothing. She living in a car. See, you living in your car, but you want a guy that's got a big house. You know? You know what I mean? You're not looking for love, you're looking for security. But you get it mixed up. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna never find nothing when you're not looking for something that's real. That's not real, so it's not gonna come to manifest. You know? It's just like I told you about the girl I knew that used to go to the games, and she was seriously passionate about meeting a rich athlete. She was a beautiful woman, but she went to acting school. She had her nose done. You know, she was already beautiful. You know, she was like a Kardashian type. She was on that pursuit. She wanted to be like them. You know, she had that look. And she would go to she went to acting school. She went to different, apply for jobs. She had a thing, laid out pictures and all that, trying to be a model. And then she would go to these places where the baseball players stayed at, and the bars and the clubs where she could meet them, you know. And she would meet a few, but none of them really panned out. Then she met a guy that she thought had money. He didn't have none. He was fooling her like she was fooling him. He had jewelry on, rings. It wasn't even real jewelry now. But he gave her a line of jive and lied to her. She ended up getting with him, and he didn't have nothing. he was as broke as she was, but she fell in love with him, and they ended up being happy. They didn't have nothing. No. Both of them was broke as a joke, but they were happy in love. And then she had a baby by him. And you know, I seen it. I said, what happened, you know, to your pursuit of finding a rich man? Oh, I found such. And then she explained the story to me about how this guy, he looked good, and he was, you know, this and that, but he wasn't really what she wanted. You know, he was short and everything. And she was a tall woman, nice, you know, stallion, and just beautiful. She went for him because she thought he had a lot of money because he lied. And then when she fell in love with him, then hey, what happened? You know, your dream wasn't real because you were looking for something artificial. And he was too. You guys really weren't looking for nothing real. So that's why you end up what you with. And then you end up leaving him a few years later because, you know, you were on the pursuit of the wrong journey. And I haven't seen that woman in like, shoot, last time I seen her, she was by herself and she wasn't doing that. She was dancing at a strip club. You know what I'm saying? Then by now she's probably old enough where she don't tell her what she's doing. See, when you look for the wrong things, you have to be going to school, get a solid foundation, and be on the pursuit of doing something, and then you'll get somebody that's doing something. You see? Get your college education, get your bachelor's degree, get your PhD, and then get your master's, you know. Or get your master's and then get your PhD, I mean. But the point of it is you got to be tracing a dream, and then you'll get somebody on your level, or somebody, if they're not on your level, you know, financially, that's not the thing. But let them be somebody that loves you, care for you, treats you good. You know what I mean? Somebody that makes you feel good. They don't have to have no money. They just have to be a good person. That's where people get mixed up. You got these women that have a lot of money, and then they see a guy that's a bus driver, or he's a garbage man. He's making decent money. He's all right. He may not be making their money they making, but he's a good guy, and he can make them happy. They won't get with him because they worry about what people think. They worry what their friends think. Their friends is with somebody stuck up they ain't happy with, but they got with him because he's a lawyer and they're doctors. No, that don't work. You get with somebody you can get along with that you love. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about this. That'll keep you from happiness. You worry about people on your level financially, and that'll keep you from being happy. You know, you can't let that be a factor. You know, we have to really just love the people that are for you. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm directing my show. You understand me? This show is about love and family, and understand love and family is everything. Believe that, family and friends. Friends are like family. Those are the ones. Amen. Thank you. All right, over now. Fashion experience.